is on.
Hi, and I don't want them today. I spent all day dressed and stuff. It was really bad. I'm usually stay in pajamas all day. Oh, light. Hello. I was really inspired by PJ who did a new piece. So I was like, why don't I do something brand new? This was called. I've never read this out loud. This will be fun.
That's how it's gone.
Yeah. So this is going really badly. This can only get better, right? That's what I'm not thinking. For days that don't feel like October 12th, 2016. Good time. If you are witnessing this, you have done something today. Breathed, blinked, or simply buried yourself in a bed, or buried your head in a notebook. Do not convince yourself that you are unworthy of these words. They were written for you. You who recognized yourself in the first scent of self-doubt. You, stranger on a bus staircase with a smile I have seen before. You music chord. You harmony searching for a melody to make you make sense again. You best friend. You ex-lover. You patch of skin waiting to be discovered. You have always been worth visiting. One day, you will be someone's favorite place to sit down and memorize the view. I know when you look in the mirror you see a question mark, an outlined inclination, a shadow of hesitation. I know it feels easy to name yourself mistake, to introduce yourself as accident. But every time you have crumpled, you have not disappeared. On the bad days, you scrunch tight and twist yourself smaller like a clenched fist. This does not mean you can't unfold eventually. And when the fist releases, it will form an open palm, fingers outstretched like those pieces of paper that hang from posters. Hold phone numbers, offering assistance, asking someone to get in touch. On the bad days, you are a fist, but on the better days, you will reach out to someone without even realizing it. On these better days, find ways to heal that do not sound like an echo of another. Do the first aid course on feeling lonely. Learn how to bandage yourself with blankets, the secret path behind the cemetery, the ideal ratio to a cup of tea, soundtracks that demand you stay sedentary. This is how you have always healed. Still you manage to forget. Stop forgetting the best bits of your days. When a conversation felt like sliding a key into the right lock, when even the sun stopped to watch you arrive or leave or rise or set. There are plenty of these moments left. So on days when you are the understudy to your own life, pick up a script and rewrite the lines. It is okay to be left behind if you find an objective for that perspective. It is okay to stay in bed, to be still. This is not a day wasted if there is movement in your chest, a rising of your breasts, a constant chime of breath. Not every day has to be extraordinary. Most of my favorite writers I found because of one text, or a poem, or a line. They're not prolific all of the time. Let your darkness be a dress rehearsal for the real thing. Remember that on the morning of October 12th, your mind refused to open the curtains. Somehow, you still managed to let the light in. Nice. Thank you. This is my drink bottle and I'm really scared of it because it has this thing. You have to suck quite hard. And when I first started, stop it, someone laughed. When I first started using it, I kept spilling, I would not do it quite right, and I got water all down myself. So the fact that I'm doing this on stage is a risk right now. And I want everyone to realize that I'm living on the edge. Okay, cool. Back to the actual set. Yeah, that was part of it. I'm going to do stuff I actually know now, which is cool because I can look at your faces. My name is Maddie Godfrey. I am from Australia. Hi. I'm living in London. I was in Oxford for a bit in the middle. Performed in various places around the UK and some other countries and stuff. I've got this new thing where I've got these little poems that aren't I want to put in a set, but I don't want to expose you just tiny bits and expect you to clap. So I'm trying this new thing called the single clap. So after these short poems, I'm just going to do a single clap. So ready? 1, 2, 3. Cool. So I'm going to use them as the intro a longer poem. It is. And it feels good to me as well. And it saves time for all of us, which is what I want. Tuesday night, You should be no, don't pass. Alright, this is the first thing called like the moments. This is my first moment. It's called freckle. Today I found a new freckle on my left shoulder blade, somewhere near the cluster of specks which other men have called galaxy. How strange to have a part of this body that you haven't been able to call beautiful. The next time we align, I will bare my shoulders as if to say, look how I grew without you. What I will mean is, even the places you have never been know how to miss you. Single. Okay, that's, we're leading to what was previously someone's shit. So just from romantic poems. These are my romantic poems. No, it's all good. I'm joking.
Qualify it.
We have love. The first night I met you, you did that poem, and I got up and did, I think it was a poem I did called Coffee, which is all about an ex-boy, like my high school boyfriend. Like not just a boyfriend, like the high school, like first love experience. Oh, and I was like, when we met after, and I was like, hi, yeah. But we're fine, we get on. No hate there. This is a longer poem, kind of like going in the same vein as Freckle, and it's called Kissing. I like single words. I'm going to do it to like the door. I keep doing it to people, you realise why it's weird in a minute, but I keep doing it to like people, and they get really uncomfortable. The first night we kissed, I thought you were a bad kisser, because your mouth moved in different shapes to mine, but over time, I learnt your syntax, your sentences, your smile, until we laughed with the same sound. And then, kissing you felt like singing the lyrics to my favourite song, and your mouth was singing along, so now whenever I kiss someone new, I will tell them they are getting the words wrong. Because this body has become the track list to your album. It's a symphony beneath your fingertips, your palms like headlights, my thighs a sunless road, and we are singing our song. And I think to myself that you are a good kisser. But I am wrong, because you are not. Neither am I, but we are good at kissing each other. And I hope that my lips will stay in this shape, so I can remember how you looked at 4 a.m. with the radio loud and the windows down, coffee in the cup holders, and you are holding onto a steering wheel and holding onto my hand, and we are holding on to how hard it is to forget a language once your mouth learns the shape of the words. Thank you. That would be a proper one. That was a proper one. So these are the short ones, intros, like the actual pieces. I'm still working it out. I kind of just want to give you like 20 minutes of 1-minute poems, but I think it would hurt your brain, and I would do the same ones a couple of times. And you're like, if I heard that one, I know you didn't. It's new. It's brand new. Cool. What are we doing next? Oh! This is a fun one for me. I get to read it. Where are you? Woo! This is a poem I wrote on the 13th of September. And it's one of those ones that I wrote and I thought I would never read it in my life. You guys had that, right? Like as writers? Oh, you don't? You impromptu? PJ?
Yeah.
Yeah, you write your line, well that's never coming out. That's bullshit. And here it is. And it's been read a couple of times now. It's called 13 out of 30 apparently. Darling, remember how furiously you fall in love. You have never been one to burn candles, you burned down the whole house, turn the neighbourhood to ash, then stick your house key into the aftermath. Of course, you still spell home with an alphabet of destruction. But these embers will not sprout flowers, no matter how often you water them. Darling, remember how furiously you fall in love. Realize it always seems like the first time and the last time. No, this is only fresh soil on forgotten ash. Put down the match. Single. Oh, that was cool. Single. 1, 2, 3. Thank you team. And going on from that, this is my longer piece that leads on to that. Thinking about what I wanted to do today, I wanted to do poems that are important to me, poems that remind me why I do this weird thing. Poetry, not the hand movement. Both of them. I do poetry with the hand movement. And this to me is one of those pieces because it is for one of my favourite poets, who is also one of my favourite people, who is also someone I met at one of my first ever poetry events in Australia. And so I think whenever I do this, it reminds me of why I do this in a way. So yeah, this is my favourite person. Their name is Alex Biddle. Yay. My little sister plays with matches like they're Barbie dolls, ignites them just to watch flames curl towards her fingers. So I follow her with an extinguisher, use my body as a blanket. Even in her absence, I still throw myself at flames because there are fires all around these days. On the television, the magazines, the buses that pass, the books she reads, so I have to stay alert, reach those sparks first, so her matches don't become flares and burns on a hand-me-down we share. The other day, I was walking down a streetcar, when three strangers spat embers shaped like words. These spiteful tags were heavy bags of verbal groceries that I carried home with me, only to swallow them like a fire eater, till the letters singe my throat with S-L-U-T. With W-H-O-R-E, these words define my sexuality. It's all about how I stand, how I dance. It's cake-faced chicken fillets, leggings aren't pants. It's feminism defined by repetitive rants. It's a group of people treated like ants that society burns with their spectacles, using mirrors to create a spectacle. Forget Burning Man, let's watch girls become flames until ash and pain are all that remains, a carcass of femininity identified by shame. When will we stop using female sexuality as a slur? When will the word cunt be celebrated, the stigma castrated? When will my body stop being public art? When will the fires cease? When will the rain start? To wash away the dirt from terms like hussy, pussy, tramp. You see, I'm trying to reclaim these phrases as a compliment, a stamp that says my body is a gift, not a penalty or prize. It cannot be paid for in currency or eyes. And no matter how I use it, how I move it, what I wear, my sensuality is not a fire, it's a warmth I've learned to share. And my sister, her body is not a temple or a shrine, it's an explosive work of art built one brushstroke at a time. And it's been charred around the edges, but she loves it all the same. She refuses to be set alight by someone else's flame. Clap again so I can drink without the Why, thank you. And what have we got next? Asterisks talk about slam poetry. Cool. Thank you, previous Maddie, for that. So who knows what slam poetry is? Who doesn't know what slam poetry is? There's some that's a meaning thing.
Yeah. Which one of these?
I just want to say, like, just in case it comes up in like later discussion. For me, Little Sister is a poem that I've slammed with quite a lot. And I think it won slams in places. So like just as an example, like those little kind of like bangs of like that's a like kind of a bang for me. That's what I classify like my slam poetry as, and I kind of want to mention that in this set in case it comes up in the discussion. Little Sister for me feels like a slam poem that's like "Ugh!" and then it goes away. Whereas some of the quieter pieces, and especially the shorter pieces, I wouldn't call like slam poetry. Yeah. My next couplet. The first technical.
I don't know what that word means.
It's fine. And I was also thinking about why I write and what I write about and what makes it important to me and why I pursue it. And a lot of my early writing and some of my toughest pieces have been about trauma. So those next two ones are kind of on trauma. As a trigger warning, if you want to leave, I'm not going to be upset in any way. Always leave my poetry if you want to. I don't mind at all. The first one, the short one, is called Burial Ground. My heart is only an organ, but an organ is the heart of this church. Surely, this means my body is a place of worship. What I mean is, you no longer live here. For context, someone asked me what that poem was like. Who is that poem about? It took me about 20 minutes to answer, because I was like, I don't know. And I realized that poem for me is about trauma and trauma living in the body and like processing it. It's a very physical thing in my opinion. On that note, here's my longer piece, which is a letter to my mother, which I haven't done in a while. Mum, I'm sorry my phone calls have been worrying lately. It is hard to be honest over this ocean between us. Sometimes my sadness is like that ocean, how it spills over everything, then retracts into itself only a moment after. Mum, when you ask if I am still eating, I am thankful for the screen. How it smothers the hollow in me, makes me look less like a skeleton and more like a whole body. It is easy to fake dinner plates when we are sitting at different tables. It is easy to tell recovery like a fairy tale or fable. No camera can capture London properly. How it stays up all night just to walk me home. How even its streetlights are busy. How even its busiest people are alone. Mum, I'm sorry we wear the same scars like hand-me-down clothes, even though our pain is not genetic, because neither of us were asking for it. Mum, there is more I want to ask you about the consent that fills cemeteries, with headstones shaped like both of our histories. For so long, this body has been borrowed. I want to know if you feel the same about yours. Mum, I am tired of walking home with company, keys between fingers like Wolverine, looking pretty, behaving politely, because the authorities hardly ever believe, and when they do, wounds are not healed by policy, and they are not healed by poetry. Maybe some wounds are too deep to ever heal entirely. Mum, I'm sorry for all the times I tried to shrink. For a while, I thought the pain was a proportional part of me, so if I became smaller, it would be smaller like me. Mum, I'm still trying to treat all this history like putty, so I can mold it into some kind of beauty. And I'm not sure why that matters, but I feel like I have to make it matter. If I express this externally, it becomes separate temporarily. Surely, if I bleed onto all these pages, if I drip, drip, drip onto all these stages, I will come clean eventually. Mum, lately I am a trigger warning wrapped in human skin. There are days I want to write for every victim, not to go viral, but to verbalize survival, to make staying alive look human and viable when the world is on fire and skin feels far too flammable. I'm a victim. I'm the daughter of a victim. I'm the best friend of a victim. I'm the big sister of a victim. I'm the ex-girlfriend of a victim, and I am not broken. We are not broken. This world keeps trying to stomp out our strength and smother our stories. It doesn't realize that one smoke alarm can wake a neighborhood. That one song can start a revolution. This world forgets that I sing with the strength of my mother. Mum, I'm sorry I cannot change what happened to you. I know you feel the same about me too. But I am trying to give consent the volume it deserves. Use these opportunities to guarantee or with silence becomes heard. Thanks. Water break, water break. Everyone turn to the person next to you and say what you had for breakfast.